Okay, so I got stopped out in that last video. I didn't have enough space, so I'm going to record this last little bit here. I'm going to go pretty fast. There's a couple of other features I just want to make sure that you're aware of, again, so you can begin to think about how to frame these features and figure out the value prop is and the way in. Going back again to these RIA group leaders, because again, we think there's so much leverage here. As I mentioned, they have a basic meetup website which does allow for some discussions and such, but it's pretty poor UI UX, a user experience. We now have the ability for someone who has a group like this to have their own forum. These guys don't have it active on their site. In fact, we just launched it about a week or so ago, and it's only visible on our site, but let me show you what that looks like. If you come to Who's It Proper and you log in, one second, you are immediately routed to your dashboard, and your dashboard at Who's It Proper now takes you directly in to this screen, which has at the center what we're calling a news feed, you know, just like on Facebook or Twitter or something else, but it's a forum. It's a place where people can have conversations. So here again is functionality that can be embedded into anyone who has an enterprise instance. And if you just look at the visuals of it, it just looks a lot better. They can still have, you know, eyesight, line of sight to their deals, which would be over here, and they can quickly go into them. They can change some of their profile stuff. If they have websites with us, they can manage them over here. They can always add a fresh website. But here in the center is the news feed. And in the news feed, again, if people are talking about deals, they can just put a link to the deal itself, which would be sitting right here in the deal portal. You know, just a whole lot better experience for somebody to be talking about a deal and then say, hey, click this link to go into the portal and see it. And it's going to have, again, all the images, all the information, the calculator, the comps. I didn't even show you the comps. But these deals always have the ability to pull comps too. So again, just compare that experience to what people are doing by way of discussion in a meetup groups. That's one feature. The other feature that I wanted to point out real quick is it's not a new feature. I mean, you've seen me talk about it already, but in terms of on the ground sort of value add is that a lot of times in these meetup groups, what'll happen is they'll say, hey, anybody got a deal? Stand up. And then some wholesaler with a scrap of paper will stand up and talk about a deal and, you know, give the basic numbers on it. And then at the end of the meeting, people will sort of rush over to that person and try to get more information. They'll exchange cards, et cetera, et cetera. That's, you know, very sort of 1980s way of doing business. That show and tell, sort of stand up and, you know, tell us what you got kind of thing. It makes 1,000 times more sense for someone who has one of these instances as they prep for the weekly meetup to say, if you have a deal that you plan to present at this week's meeting, put it into the portal. Simply go through the deal posting process, and then we will call on you, and when you stand up, we can display it in all its glory. So now, you know, into the beginning of the meeting, they say, anybody got deals that they want to show? Person stands up and says, hey, Paul, yeah, I posted my deal on. Can you go in there and go to my deal? Now the guy is standing up in this same room, and his deal is being projected on the screen, and it looks great, right? Because now it's got, you know, all the pictures there, maybe even it has video there, it has all his numbers there. If somebody really wants to press him on it, they can say, hey, tweak this number, Paul, right there on the screen, and dynamically they can see what the returns really look like. It's just a way better experience. And maybe most importantly, that guy who stood up in this room is no longer the bottleneck. Because if this guy stands up and at the end of the meeting 5 or 6 or 7 or a dozen people rush over to him, how many people can he really talk to? Right? How many deals get missed? How much leakage is there just because the mechanics of how people share deals is so antiquated and tied to, you know, the bottleneck that is this one person standing up? If you're a RIA group leader, you want to tell your people, just train them to post their deals. And then on the night of the meetup, somebody stands up and says, okay, great, what's your deal? They'll pull it up in the portal, put it on the screen, everybody can look at it. And then if they want to contact the guy, they don't have to rush over to him at the end of the meeting. They can just contact him directly through the platform because we have a messaging system already in there. If they like the deal, they can just hit a like on it. It's just better. It's just better. It's more contemporary. It's the way that things should be done. So that's the other feature I want to point out to you. And so with that, I'm going to stop. I mean, there's lots of other, well, I guess the one last thing I would say is that even to that point, because our deals, our posting process has the ability for you to post something publicly or privately, even if you say that you want to do a show and tell type situation, maybe you're not ready for it to be completely public yet, but we have that ability that you can still post a deal in the system. In fact, I may as well just show you this because it's really, really easy. You know what? We'll do it right in here. If we go to a deals portal right here in NJREI group, if somebody got the email that I just described, Paul wrote them and said, hey, look, for this Wednesday's meeting, if you have a deal you want to showcase, put it in the portal and then we'll highlight it. And maybe the person says, well, I don't have it completely tied up yet, or it won't be ready for another couple of days, or I just don't want it out there in the public yet, but I'm happy to share it with our group specifically. Here's what they can do. They can hit post a deal. I'm going to fly through this with just a fake address real quick. What they do is they go through our normal process. They put in the address. The system is going to pull comps for them. That's already done. Boom. They're going to hit continue. You'll see we already pulled a lot of other stuff: bedroom, bath, square footage, the lot size, the year it was built. They'll fill in whatever details were not completed. And then they'll come in, they'll give a little title. I'm not going to go through that now. They'll describe the work that's needed. If this thing has ever been online, like a Zillow posting or something, we'll actually go out and find pictures from a previous listing. They can keep them or they can chuck them. They can add their own images, but again, we're not going to deal with that right now. The point that I really want to make is that once they put in the price, I'm just putting in, again, bogus numbers. It's not going to be $1 million. Let's just say it's 200. And the ARV is 250. Just, again, putting random numbers here. It's not 2.5 million. We let them pull comps. They come in here and they choose which comps are relevant for this particular house. Again, it's just setting up a better presentation, whether they do it in the show and tell or they put it out there just broadly to the community. They're going to hit continue, but this is what I want to show, is that they always have the option. They're going to say who they are in the deal. I'm a wholesaler. They always have the option to publish it broadly to everyone that's in the community, in this case the NJREI group portal, or they can do an invite only. So if you are the administrator of this REIA group, and again, you put out this email and says, hey, if you got a show and tell deal for us, put it into the portal. You can just tell them to do it invite only if they don't want it to be public. And then they're going to send it to you, the administrator, right? I'm not actually going to send this because Paul's going to be like, what the hell is going on? But you just put in the administrator's name and then they can hit send. So now you, the administrator, get 3 or 4 or a dozen or however many deals come to you in advance of your meetup. You get to see them with a private link, because what happens is you're going to get an email that says, Darren has just invited you to see a private invite-only posting on the portal. Nobody else can see it. So the administrator, right, is going to see the one that came in from Darren and from Vince and from whoever else had a deal that they wanted to do in show and tell. A couple of things happen here. Number one, he can prepare better for the meetup, and he can, say which ones are going to be highlighted. He'll just go to that link directly. But, and this is the thing I did not mention when I was talking about all the challenges facing this group, when you're doing this, you, the administrator, now have supreme visibility into all the deal flow running through your portal. So the other challenge that Paul was saying was, hey, the reason I even take on all this stuff and spend my own money and do all the legwork is that I'm hoping that I can find deals to participate in myself, either as a JV or to lend on, or you name it, right? Well, this portal is the absolute best way to get more visibility into the deal flow that's happening in your network. These guys who run these meetups, they have so much leakage, because what happens is in a typical scenario, somebody standing at the front teaching, But then midway, 2/3 of the way through, and certainly at the end of the meeting, people get up and they go to the hallway. They retreat to the hallway and start doing deals. And the guy who's teaching, the guy who put this whole thing together tonight and spent all the time slaving to get, the event ready to go, he has no idea what's transacting in his own network. And what the Who's It platform does is allows him to have more visibility into the deal flow in his own network. We think that's a huge, huge value proposition. So now, in addition to just being a better experience, you got products of ours that you can sell and get commissions on, so it's a revenue center. And now you have greater visibility into what's happening into your market, into your network, so you can actually get the real money, which is to participate in more deals. So that's it on that. And then finally, I promise this is it. If any of the guys that you end up selling to happen to also have a lending arm, because again, this guy does, Glenn, who is the main sort of star of the show, as I said, he's also a lender. We have the ability for people to submit for funding. It's already built in. We have a lending module already built in. And it looks and feels very similar to the process for posting a deal. All you do is you click hard money loans, right? And if somebody, come on Wi-Fi, if somebody has a deal that they want to do, they'll do the same kind of thing. They'll put in an address, right? Same thing. The system's going to start pulling comps. A lot of the screens will look pretty similar, but then you'll get to some things that are specific to a loan. Tell us why the deal is special. A little bit of a narrative. Is this a purchase or a refi? Have you ordered an advance report? We've talked about reports before. Do you have a contract on the house? Do you have an appraisal on the house? Upload your documents, the contract, the short sale affidavit, whatever is relevant, okay? So again, I'm not gonna go through all the specifics of this workflow for applying for hard money, but this is yet another module that anyone who has an enterprise instance can just bolt on to their portal. So if you are a lender, great. This is already built for you. You don't need to go out and buy an LOS necessarily. If you just want to refer, you just want to broker because you run a RIA, so you've got relationships and you want to help your members find funding, great. Tell them to apply through your portal. And then you're going to get a beautiful application that's already got a lot of the key elements in it, including documents. And now you, the RIA leader, have yet another potential revenue center because now you can help your guys get loans. You can broker those loans for them. Now you'll notice the guys at Express, they have that in there, right? They're not lenders, but again, they want the ability to broker if the opportunities present itself. The guys at DC Wholesale do not. It's just a business decision. It's just a business decision about what levers these guys are taking advantage of, what they're pushing. So I'm going to stop there. There's lots of bells and whistles. As you can see, I did not even go through all the features of the enterprise plan, but just know that there are these two basic avatars, which is the RIA group leaders and the badass investors. And then within those, you can use as many or as few of our features as you so choose, whether that's the scheduling of open houses or giving your guys the ability to apply for hard money. It's a very, very robust, very, very flexible system. And I think there's lots of ways to come up with a story to help sell the benefits. Obviously, we want to do that by way of features, but I think there's lots of benefits in the real world that you're going to be able to sell to these guys. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. Didn't plan for this to run quite so long, but I just want to be thorough. If you have any questions, give me a holler back. Okay? Thanks, man. Bye.